Hello, I'm Kinte. I'm with my friend Mukti. I'm a filmmaker from Chile, and I'm interviewing her now because she's writing a book that we're going to talk about it. And she's from Brazil, but she left Brazil long ago, and she has been traveling a lot, living in many countries. She's a psychologist and a journalist. It's a pleasure for me to have this conversation because she, apart from having that interesting scientific studies, she also she's a sound healer. She also practiced medicine in different ways. She's very into meditation, and she knows a lot about Buddhism. So it's a really interesting person. I had the pleasure to share with her a lot. We have been making some videos together about meditations. We have been sharing those videos. I'm pretty sure you people have been watching them. And so we're very happy now to have this conversation and talk about her new book that she's been working in the last, how many years you've been working on this book, Mukti?
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year.
Little more than 1 year.
So it's a project she has been putting a lot of energy. Not only she, which she's been collaborating with lots of friends, people that for her has been like angels that have been supporting her in this development of this book. And so first I'll ask Mukti to say hello and give us some words about whatever she wants to talk. So hello, Mukti.
Yeah, namaste, namaskar.
Namaste.
So happy to be here using technology. And first I want to say thank you to you, Kinti, and thank you everyone. And it's so nice to use technology because I've been in the past so away from it, and actually it's very nice that we can use in a positive way and to share, and I feel that more and more I'm opening up my voice, my truth, to share it. And that's how this book also come about and how the videos are coming about, because at some point I was feeling I had so much love in my heart, and this love was just rising up and it wants to come out. So it's about sharing, it's about expression, liberating, letting it come out of us. And because before I could speak my truth, I could know my truth for myself, but now I'm allowing myself to speak my truth loud, bringing it into words.
Yeah, you explain me that when you were a kid, you used to live like in the forest, in nature, and be like very disconnected from the world somehow.
It's, I would say, maybe connected to the nature. Maybe to the disconnected to civilizations. Yes. I grew up like a little Mowgli.
Mowgli, like the character.
Yeah, Mowgli, naked in the forest, or almost walking bare feet. So I was for many years living in the forest, and my friends were the animals and the trees, and I would spend my days like that. But then I came to civilization, went to study, later on went to live in New York, and teenage. And so there I was in Manhattan.
Wait. So you went from the jungle in Brazil.
Yeah.
Where are we talking about? Where in Brazil?
Close to Rio de Janeiro.
Okay. Yeah. And from there you went to live in New York.
Yeah, in my teenage years, I went to a boarding school, but I was a lot in Manhattan, and it was such a contrast. And so after that, I was traveling a lot around the world, and this past almost 20 years, that I'm not in Brazil, almost. And I feel that it's so many beautiful stories to share that I've been experiencing. And so this is also what this book is about, not only the stories, but the meditations that I've been practicing, engaged meditation, like how to bring it into practice.
Okay, wait. But before going into the book, I just want to allow people to know how special your life, different it is, because I'm very interested in the same things you're studying, you know, like sound healing and psychology, and also journalism, because I make films and documentaries. So there's we found this connection, and that's what we're producing this material together, this content. But I want you to also recognize that there is a part in your life that you study technically a degree, a couple of degrees that she is very, I understand you, Mukti, are a person that appreciate meditation and alternative stuff. But you came to this through a long process of discovering yourself. And so you kind of mixed what you learned in like normal science or a normal kind of scientific way of seeing life, and then you applied it to a more alternative lifestyle. And I think that's a great thing you're offering with the book. It's not only alternative information, it's also, it has this filter of someone that is a psychologist and that can see life from analytical perspective, and came across with the answer that smiling is more important than any analytical word. So I want you to talk to us about your psychology background a little bit.
Yeah, I've been studying for many years, and I studied journalism, I studied psychology, and I went to do a post-graduation master degree in biopsychology. Biopsychology, yeah. And there was it's a beautiful process to bring together the studies at this point in my life, because I've been studying so much at that time, and a lot of with a scientific mind, trying to understand. And at some point I said, okay, now I have collected so much information and I want to bring it into practice. So how can I apply all this knowledge, this wisdom into my own life? So I went into many years of applying it, and not in theory, but in practical way in living. So living the experience. So these past years I'm more into the living, but bringing it both aspects together, and it's beautiful. So we can activate the two sides of our brain, our intellect, but at the same time learn to use our intuition and more our feelings. Yeah.
Great. And yeah. I have some questions, because apart from your life intellectual studies and analytical, then you decided to go traveling the world, and you went to India, to Nepal, and in the search of other type of wisdom. From what I understand from your book, you were, because we're working on it together, making the last version, you learn about Buddhism, but through experience. So can you talk to us about it?
Yoga, meditations, Buddhism, Hinduism, about religions, and so I kind of bring all this together, but more into the feelings than into the theoric ways of understanding. But yes, I also bring some science facts, because I think it's good to have both. But yes, I've been in India for many years, and living and traveling into monasteries, Buddhist monasteries, and but mostly what I wanted, it was not the technique, it was the feeling, it was the experience of, and not only that, I think I also integrated the experience of freedom that I had before with flying, because that was my job as well.
That's something interesting apart from, I mean, an extra interesting thing that Mukti cultivated in her life is that she flies. She does a lot of paragliding, and she has stories of she flying paragliding for 4 hours, arriving how many Ks of distance
Yeah,
away?
6 hours in the sky above the clouds. In India, I went to the limit of the oxygen once. Yeah, and it was 3 days after meeting the Dalai Lama. It was such an amazing, beautiful experience. So yeah, sometimes we can search for this freedom. Yeah, in many different ways. That's how I experience it. So I was always looking for this freedom, and flying for me was also kind of meditation. And beginning, I was doing hang gliding and then paragliding, and that was my job as well, to take people to fly with me. And in Nepal, around the Himalayas. And so it was so many beautiful experience and searching for this freedom. But with time, I understood that it's much more about an inner freedom, that to be free from negative emotions, negative thoughts, and just to be free from the past and the future, just be in the moment and be here and now.
All right. Okay. Before going into the book, I think it's interesting to mention that you also made a film.
Yeah, a few years ago many years ago, actually, when my daughter was very small still. And at that time, I wanted to make a film, and I was still breastfeeding. So I had her in my arms, and I was breastfeeding, and the camera in the hand. And I went to the Himalayas because one of our students in the paragliding school, he broke the world record of altitude. So we did that film, and it was a beautiful process.
And it was a very successful documentary about this expedition that they went to conquer the highest paragliding, crazy adventure. It was jumping from the Everest.
Yeah,
they jumped from the Everest for the first time, and they went fly. They went down the Everest flying, and they broke the world record. It was the first time in history that someone did something as crazy as that. So
yeah, they flew above Everest, so they went higher than Everest.
Oh, right.
In a tandem flight after climbing, and it was a beautiful experience, Babu.
Yeah, they are so very charismatic and crazy characters because they're from where are they from? From Nepal, right?
From Nepal, yeah. One Sherpa and one is a Nepali little
and crazy enough to want to jump from the Everest,
and that was only half of the story, because the other half we didn't make it. They, after flying, they went all the way kayaking to India until to reaching the ocean.
All right. So from my perspective, you have a very rich life, not only in terms of wealth or acquisitions of woods or stuff. So your life is very rich in terms of experiences. And now you're living in Switzerland. And in Switzerland, you are creating an energy school, a place for yoga and meditation, where you welcome people from different places of the world that comes and support the project with work, and you provide them food and accommodation. It's been like a great vortex of meeting new people, and it's like many volunteers have passed through this place, right?
Yeah, it is. It has been very magical, because I think the more and more we start to work with energy and sharing this love that's coming from the heart, more and more we start to manifest and to be into the flow, with meeting the right people, being in the right place and with the right people, right environment and the right moment. So many volunteers, they came to help us in this project, and I'm so grateful. It's, for me, I used to call them like angels. Yeah, so many angels coming and supporting us. I'm like, you are here now.
Oh, thank you.
Supporting as well. And so beautiful and so touching. And this gave me so much hope about human beings as well. How the human beings can be so beautiful and share their energy, their experience, has been really, really beautiful. And we've been doing a few retreats here as well. Meanwhile, renovating this old house, very old house.
Well, we have to mention that it's a very old house that is in the middle of the mountains, in front of a lake, which is beautiful. And it's just like a fantastic, incredible location. And it's a great place to write a book because, you know, a friend of mine told me that mountains are pure consciousness. Rocks are pure consciousness. It's solidified consciousness. It makes a lot of sense for me. And then that's what you're doing. You're solidifying everything that you've been collecting and learning and putting in a piece of love that everybody can have access to it. And you haven't decided the name of the book, but it has to do with the concept of inner gardening, right?
Yeah. For me, it's like we have all these seeds in us, and good seeds, bad seeds, and the seeds that will grow, it's the seeds that we water every day. So we can choose consciously which kind of seeds we want to nurture, which seeds we want to grow in our garden, in our inner garden, in our life. And these seeds, you just keep nurturing and watering it, and it will just grow and give you fruits. So I've been planting these seeds for so many years, and so the book also I'm talking about those seeds such as trust, surrender, gratitude, forgiveness. Yeah, these beautiful seeds, amazing seeds that are so healing, and it's all that we need actually.
And you said you wanted to talk about trust, and I know trust is the most important thing for me in life because it's like we believe that we are this separate beings, you know, this separate ego consciousness. But I think when we realize if we start trusting, we're actually believing that we're a bit more than that. We're something else. Can you also give us your ideas about it?
Yeah. How can we not trust this beautiful nature that is around us? And how can you not trust that you will have your next breath? Like it's just happening, you know. Yeah. And I think I learn a lot to work on my trust with flying as well, because it's something that work with your fears. You have to win your fears to be able to fly and to take off from a mountain, and sometimes be very high in the sky. So that happened to me quite a lot, I guess. But to trust is something that it's very important for me. It's very essential because actually we cannot really control anything. You know, we are not in control. We just trust this creation. And when you go deep into nature and you see the miracle that is around us, that is happening inside of us, outside of us, and in the nature, and more we go deep into it, we fall into trust, you know, and into this beauty.
Yeah, how you said, it's like sometimes we want to control, but if we want to control, we're not trusting. So if we just trust that everything is already under control somehow, like everything is always meant to be, and we just have to listen to ourselves and trust, and trust ourselves. And then so it's just like the otherwise it's like the dog chasing its tail, you know. It's like trying to look for trust in something external instead of just finding that coherence inside ourselves.
Yeah, trust and surrender. And there is not halfway to trust. It's like, for example, even in a boyfriend or whoever, or you trust or you don't trust. There's not halfway. So it's the same with the universe. Or you trust, you know, or you don't trust. You cannot be half. I trust more or less. No, you trust the universe, and more you do it, more you trust the universe, more you allow, and more you are into acceptance of life and gratitude. So
so these are the type of things you're providing in the book, like little
yes,
I can
Poppy.
you can see Papi there.
Little dog.
So it gives you different, you give them in the book to give to the readers like different techniques and things that they can apply in their lives, practical, simple things for the everyday life in order to be more mindful, to be more conscious of this trust. You said, for example, something you mentioned I really like, and it's important in your meditation, is the Ho'oponopono. Can you talk us a little bit about Ho'oponopono?
So love, forgiveness, and gratitude. For me, it resumes everything. You know, it's very simple. And since I've been practicing Ho'oponopono, I've been seeing and experiencing how energetically everything shifts and how it just naturally happens and flow. For example, the more you practice gratitude, repeating internally, thank you for everything, for life, for every day, for all the things, going deeper and deeper into gratitude, it's like everything is opening. Your heart starts to open. And for me, gratitude is like a key. It's a key that open many doors, open all the doors. So you cultivate gratitude and everything is just opening up for you. It's so beautiful. And forgiveness, it's also about setting yourself free. So when you forgive, you are free. It's not only about forgiving the other, but you forgive to be free, you know? Free from the past, from all the pain and sufferings, even of our ancestors and everyone, and don't keep any kind of negative emotions. So forgiving, it's also something very, very powerful to liberate the soul.
So these are the type of the things that you've been learning through your process of traveling, having this alternative lifestyle of living in so many countries, so many cultures, and all these seeds, you call them, are the type of things you're providing in the book. So you said that you had a very special way that how this idea of making this book came to you.
Yeah, that was because I also work with dream therapy, and with music therapy through sounds and vibration and different frequencies. So once I was into this dream state, and in my dream I was pregnant of a book. I was feeling I was pregnant, but it was not a baby, it was a book. And in my dream, it was just like the book is ready to come out. And I say, wow. And then after I say, wow, but how am I going to do it? I don't have so much time. I have so many projects going on in the same time. How can I sit and write? So I just decided I would go for a walk every morning in the forest. And I started recording myself and making some spontaneous recordings of whatever was channeling at that time or wanting to come out through my voice, and just allowing it to happen in a very spontaneous way. And so I had many hours of those recordings, and with the help of many volunteers who came to the project, we were just typing it down and now putting all of these recordings, audio recordings, into the paper and into the computer, and now trying to make an order in it. And just, it's so funny and interesting how everything just happens. You know, when we allow things to happen, we always find a way. Yeah.
What about the new project also you have about a boat documentary?
Yeah, it also happened. So many things happening. Yeah, right now we have a catamaran project, a sailing project with our little family. So we are going to live on board very soon, going for a big adventure. But I'm not the kind of person who just travel like for tourism, just to see. It's also very beautiful to see how planet Earth, it's amazing, and it can make us cry with so much beauty. But I like at the same time to have to be engaged in a project and some ideas, so that like to stimulate my mind, my creativity. And I, as I did in the past, film. And I feel that not only a book but a film. It's a ways of sharing, yeah, because in a collective way, yeah, because life is all about sharing. So life is about sharing, isn't it? And it's very important to share out there, and different ways of doing it. So for me, a book, it's about sharing, and a film, it's about sharing. And so I want to share this story that's gonna start very soon with the sailing journey. And this it's a new project that we start. It's about healing and sound healing with nature as well, because Mother Earth is so beautiful that we have to to bring this nature into the subject of them.
So it's a sound healing documentary, a journey that I'm working to. We're doing it together, where you're going to travel in your boat, to Copenhagen, which is a very special place for you.
Yeah, we are starting in Copenhagen, where for me it's a place with many angels, and there are many shamans, I could say. Or
what do you mean? What do you mean by angels?
Angels, I mean these beautiful people that are sharing the message of love on Earth, and that they already realize that the Earth needs so much love. And so they are working to bring more love to our planet and to share this love in many ways, as we were saying. So these are the angels that I'm talking about. People who are sharing their love. And I think music, it's a very amazing way of communicating. It's a language, and I've been activating myself into this energy of music that is bringing this vibration and sounds and feelings. And so we are going to meet different sacred musicians on this journey, on the island, people who work with sound healing and who use music to activate the heart space.
Do you talk about sound healing in the book too?
Yeah, we talk about sound healing. We talk about also science. I think maybe 30% of it is science, and then all those seeds that
you explain this idea of brain waves, right?
Yeah, brain waves and the frequencies that we are surrounded, and how we are producing frequencies as well with our brains. And so I bring it together, how the brain and the music can, just like the music can invite you into that frequency. So it can tune. It's like tuning ourselves, same as you tune an instrument. So we have a beautiful instrument that we can hear and to kind of connect to the universe that is inside of us. And so we tune into that frequency. And so we learn, I speak about brainwaves into that sense, and bringing science together. So it's not just ideas, but something that's going on really into how meditation can help and support us to produce our brainwaves more consciously.
It's like making a good link between a lot of the spiritual ideas and scientific research, so you understand two sides, because it's just one thing, and it's just like this separation. It's just a human separation, but for our nature, there's not such a thing. Then science and spirituality is just one thing.
Yeah, I like to bring it together. Yeah, it's it's like a marriage, a beautiful marriage. It's not separated, and but it's science, spirituality, and of course to do it with feelings, because more than understanding meditation, it's the most important is the feeling that you have in your heart. It's not even the techniques that you are using. It's not for me and my perspective, it's not the techniques, it's not the how many years you've been practicing, your experience. It's more about how you are opening your heart and how you are really being authentic and spontaneous and connecting with Mother Earth.
Yeah, connecting both sides of the brain, because we have an analytical side of the brain, but also we have an intuitive side, which is more connected to music, with feelings, with
that's what I'm doing mostly. I'm much more into my feelings, but I do not I also had this science part of my life, that a background. I'm much more into the feelings of living and experiencing and bringing it into action. So I'm not even much into, even in the past, I was not even talking so much. I'm very quiet and silent, but now I start to bring my voice out because it's just asking me, it's happening. And so it's something very important.
It's a process of healing for you, this communication. There's something I really like in your life that I'm very interested in, and it's the eco village experience. You, for many years, you had the experience of living out of kind of Western way of seeing the world, and you experience another like alternative perspective, for example, raw vegan community. And also the nice things of this, because I experienced this kind of gatherings in festivals, maybe alternative places, but never had it like a lifestyle, like living in an eco village brings you so much extra things, like the food, sharing with people, dance, music. So I want you to tell us a little bit about this type of new ways of communities.
Yeah, well, I've been to many different communities in my life. Like in the when I finished university, I was in an eco village in Brazil, where Susan Andrews, she is doing many beautiful courses.
What's the name? What's the name of that?
Susan Andrews. That's Institute Vision of the Future.
Vision of the Future is the name of the
eco village in Brazil.
The eco village in Brazil.
Yeah, it's a big one there, and it's very successful, very beautiful project happening there. And so there are hundreds of people traveling to the eco village to learn during the weekends and intensive course. And so I lived there for some time. But somehow my heart was calling me to Asia. That was when I decided, when I finished my studies, that I would go to India, go traveling. And at that point also was when I started to guide groups from the eco village, spiritual groups in spiritual tours in India. That was my first job, into like yoga groups, traveling into like a pilgrimage. Travel and going to the Himalayas before doing the paragliding. And so the eco village was very inspiring. And when I went to the Philippines, again, when I went to Nepal, I was also still very interested in visiting monasteries and communities. And in the Philippines, finally, I went to live in a community, a raw food community, where we had mostly fruits and salads and dry fruits and coconuts. It was an amazing, beautiful process with
how long did you live
and sound healing.
How long did you live in that community?
In the Philippines, for 2.5 years, and traveling around as well a bit. And it was just before coming to the Philippines, to the Switzerland, because I was in Nepal for 11 years, and there I was more living into the wild, and I was interested still in communities, but I was more into my eremit, flying.
And your husband David is also a legend of paragliding. He's a champion.
Yeah, he used to do acrobatics on paragliding, and at that time he won the world championship. Yeah,
and he's French Swiss, right? No, he's Swiss French.
Swiss French, yeah. We met in Nepal. And he lived there for 17 years. So it was a big decision for us to come to Switzerland, to come back after so many years out of the system.
In your house, your children speak how many languages?
Well, here we don't speak Nepali here, only in Nepal. But aside Nepali, 4 more languages. Yeah, so there are 5. Yeah.
So your children speak Swiss German.
Swiss German in the school. It's German and French at
French
home.
At home.
Portuguese with mom.
Portuguese with mom.
And English with everybody else.
All right. With the travelers.
Yeah, so we're kind of international family. But what I tell them is not the number of language that you speak. The most important is how loving you speak. So yeah, it's the language of the heart that we have to speak here. It's the most important one. Yeah.
And to close the idea of the eco village, you live in this raw food community, and that was a really good experience for you. That was in Copenhagen, right?
No. That was in the Philippines.
I'm
Palawan.
sorry.
Yeah, Copenhagen. There are a few communities there too, static dance communities, and it's a beautiful process of liberation and meditation through movement. So it's a beautiful community of.
So you also talk about all these things in your book, right?
Yeah, and the book, and especially this subject of Copenhagen is more about the film that's coming on, the film that we will produce next year, and the book. It's more about the seeds and the feelings and the science, and some stories are there. Also, a kind of short biography that just came out. So some stories about dreams. Because I'm kind of a dreamer, like John Lennon. I hope I'm not the only one. I dream that we can smile more and we can make life more beautiful.
Yeah.
And to upgrade consciousness in our planet.
I think to close this conversation would be great if you can give us the perspective or the special connection you have with rainbows, because when you did a lot of paragliding, you were paragliding also looking rainbows, but from a perspective that not many people in the world have seen, and you have a special connection with them in different moments of your life. So can you just mention a bit about that?
Yeah, I started to see that there was patterns of rainbows happening. Many situations bring me into the rainbows and important situations happening in my life, and like I was having really a relationship with rainbow, and and I speak about that in the book because it was not once or twice when it was very important situations. And at some point when I was in India, and I had I will explain it better, but in a short version. I asked myself one night, and I say, wow, I said to the universe, I was writing and I had some tears in my eyes. And I say, wow, maybe the rainbow doesn't exist. Maybe we were just my illusions. Yeah, maybe life is full of misery and sufferings. And yeah, I was kind of sad that night. And I said, maybe the rainbow doesn't exist, does it? And then I went to sleep, and then from that day on, many times the rainbow came to me to give me answers, and beautiful answers. To the point, I don't know. I don't know if I should say that, but maybe it's better to give this, let this as a surprise for the ones who read the book, because it's amazing stories of rainbow that connects with our rainbow people and with all the colors of life that we have within us. And for me, the rainbow.
You should just share it.
You're curious. Okay, one of them, because there are many different rainbow stories. One or two I can tell you here. For example, once I was in Nepal and I was swimming in this lake. It's a warm lake and it was summer. So there it has some storms during the summer, and I was swimming because I love swimming, and I was in the middle of this lake far away from the shore, and came a big storm. So I was there with the thunders swimming in the lake, and after the storm, it came a big rainbow from the mountain all the way to the middle of the lake, just a few meters away from where I was. And I said, oh my God, I don't believe. And so I continue swimming, and I'm in pure excitement and feelings and happiness. And so I reached inside this rainbow, and I was floating there. Yeah, and I knew I was in the rainbow because I couldn't see it anymore around me, but I could see from where I was going all the way, and from that. But that's also how I, even before I met David, and that was also how I even found this house where I'm living. It was a rainbow on top of the house, and I see this rainbow.
So somehow this dream state of planting seeds and living a joyful life with a lot of gratitude gives you a lot of incredible moments in your life. It's that seeds that you planted it, and you're now being able to enjoy the fruits of all those all that gardening in your life. And that's what you want to share on your book, how to do this inner gardening, how to plant these seeds, and how to live a life full of joy, which is the name of your children, Joy.
So I could remember joy every day and wake up with joy. That's very important, because when I'm smiling, for me it's also very important. This joy it's essential for the spiritual practice. So once I even heard that if you want to measure how is your spiritual practice, how is your life going, measure how much. And so, if you are smiling, even if you don't practice any meditation, it means that you are doing very well. Keep doing what you're doing.
So we had a little bit of a cut of the transmission. So you said you can measure how joyful is your life?
You can measure how is your practice going, your spiritual practice, how you are going, because we have all these ideas in theories. You have the theory, okay, I know, I have knowledge, or I have wisdom, or whatever we think you have, or but if you want to see how you are applying it into life, it's like a measure. You just see how much you have been smiling, how you've been smiling, because you cannot pass these realms into these realms without joy. It's like it's impossible to enter if you are not into this gratitude, in seeing beauty and smiling to life.
Well, thank you very much, Mukti. I totally agree with that idea. It's beautiful to close. We can measure out our results in life just by how much are we smiling. As long as we're smiling a lot, it means we're doing well. That's your perspective?
Yeah, just keep doing it. It's very simple. Let's make things simple. We don't need to complicate things, do we?
All right. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you. Love you. Love you all.
Love you too. Oh, ciao, ciao.